They told you to fear immigrants. But the real threat is already inside your home, on your screen, in your feed, and sometimes even wearing a uniform. Right-wing domestic terror is recruiting online, right now. By the end of this video, you won't just know how it spreads, you'll know how to fight it. Because while politicians point at the border, the most dangerous movement in America is growing in our bedrooms, our basements, and our group chats. It grooms in forums, glorifies killers, and mutates into violent action. And unless we interrupt the cycle, it will reach someone you know, if it hasn't already. A teenage boy opens YouTube. 10 minutes later, he's watching a live stream of a mass shooting. This isn't fiction. It happened in Buffalo, New York in 2022. A teenager, radicalized by white replacement propaganda, drove for hours to a black neighborhood and streamed his massacre from a grocery store. He left behind a manifesto designed to teach the next killer. Half a world away, a white supremacist murdered 51 Muslims in mosques in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and published his own step-by-step guide for others to follow. Different continents, same playbook: isolate, radicalize, kill, inspire, repeat. This is not random. It's a coordinated movement that thrives on denial and digital oxygen. Before we go further, if you're committed to honest, fearless analysis that refuses to normalize hate, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Then come right back. We have work to do. Here's what the censors of convenience don't want you to see. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the top domestic terror threat is not foreign, it's homegrown. Violent extremists, especially lone offenders radicalized online, now pose a persistent and lethal danger. Federal data confirms it. Domestic terrorism investigations have exploded in the last decade, and the majority aren't directed from abroad. They're born out of digital grievance and metastasize in algorithmic echo chambers. That's not my opinion. That's straight from the US government's own reports. The internet is the accelerant. Radicalization doesn't happen in the dark corners anymore. It starts on mainstream platforms and moves to encrypted channels. From there, it leaks back into public feeds through memes, clips, and manifestos disguised as content. Just this year, the US officially designated a violent neo-Nazi network online known as Telegram and began targeting its leaders. But while governments start catching up, courts still lag behind. A New York appellate court ruled that major platforms can't be held liable for broadcasting the Buffalo shooters livestream. That ruling created a moral vacuum at scale. High-velocity hate with low-velocity accountability. Ask yourself this out loud. If your values are democracy and equality, how can you stay silent while an ideology that preaches racial hierarchy turns neighbors into targets? If you believe in public safety, why tolerate a system where a teenager can be radicalized by memes faster than a parent can get a call back from a guidance counselor? If this stings, good. That's your conscience refusing to be outsourced. Let's talk about the uniforms. Military and law enforcement experience can offer purpose, skills, and service to the public, but extremists know that too. And they're recruiting hard. Groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers have used veterans as foot soldiers and figureheads. After January 6th, federal juries convicted their leaders of seditious conspiracy. Judges handed down decades-long sentences. Why? Because this wasn't protest. It was organized political violence. And when elected officials wink at that violence, it doesn't stay in the past. It recruits for the future. Still think this is just an American problem? Think again. UN counter-terrorism agencies and European intelligence services are now tracking right-wing extremist networks that operate across borders, sharing training, tactics, and propaganda. From Reddit threads to real-world combat zones, this is a transnational web. That's why a mosque massacre in one hemisphere becomes a blueprint for violence in another. Here's the truth no algorithm wants you to hear. Radicalization is easier than prevention, but that doesn't mean prevention is impossible. So what breaks the pipeline without sacrificing civil liberties? Step 1. Name the threat as it is, not as spin doctors and lobbyists prefer it to be. Step 2. Demand transparency from platforms. We need independent audits of recommendation algorithms, friction for viral hate, and immediate takedowns of manifestos and live streams, while preserving legal and research access. Step 3. Resource prevention where it actually works. Community-based off-ramps, exit programs for disillusioned recruits, Trauma-informed counseling for isolated young men. Step 4. Enforce laws impartially. Risk-based gun removals. Robust background checks. Consistent prosecution of political violence, no matter what flag is on the t-shirt. Step 5. Face the veteran factor head-on. Invest in mental health care, peer support and public service employment pipelines that reclaim discipline and skill for the common good, not for grievance entrepreneurs. These are not slogans. They are evidence-aligned interventions. Now pause. Ask yourself, what would you do if someone you cared about started slipping into this pipeline? If you have an answer, or even if you don't, drop it in the comments below. This isn't theoretical anymore. If you're thinking, this feels like too much for one person, you're right. But you are not powerless. Ask your city council and school board how they are guarding against extremist infiltration. Ask your religious community how they protect worshippers without turning sanctuaries into bunkers. Ask your favorite social platforms why their algorithms still serve hate more efficiently than they promote civics education. Then, do one thing tonight. Text this video to 3 people. Ask them to watch until the end and comment below with one action they'll take in the next 7 days. Let's turn watching into momentum. Here's the cognitive dissonance we must resolve. We say we honor the troops, then ignore the veterans being targeted in extremist chat rooms. We say we're a nation of laws, then some leaders call capital attackers patriots, while victims of hate bury their dead. We say we cherish freedom of religion, then look away as mosques, synagogues, gurdwaras, black churches and LGBTQ spaces become battlegrounds. Values are not values until they cost us something: time, attention, and the courage to contradict our own tribe. And before we close, remember, this is not isolated violence. It's a coordinated, adaptive movement that depends on our silence and thrives on our distraction. If you believe that neighbors are not enemies, that dignity belongs to every human being, and that democracy must be defended with action, not hashtags, say so. Loudly, repeatedly. Refuse the algorithm's hypnosis. Refuse the euphemisms. Refuse to launder hate as politics. If this video shocked you, or simply clarified what your heart already knew, comment Free Palestine and No to White Terror below. Let others know they're not alone. Like, share and subscribe. Because this community chooses courage over complicity and action over apathy.